Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive impending policy shift regarding the economics of healthcare. Specifically, we're focusing on a proposed change that could absolutely alter the entire landscape of cancer medications.
All right, let's just dive straight into this. Imagine the cost of a life-saving cancer treatment jumping by half, a massive 50% increase. Wow. That is the stark, real-world reality of the proposed policy we're breaking down today. For patients, healthcare providers, and policymakers alike, this number isn't just some abstract statistic. It represents a profound financial shock to a system that real people rely on for their very survival.
So, Section 1, the price cap shift. Let's take a quick look at the regulatory mechanics behind this.
Right at the center of this debate are price caps. Basically, these are government-imposed ceilings designed to keep essential drugs affordable. Historically, these have served as a critical, literal financial shield for patients needing essential care. They're there to ensure that in times of extreme vulnerability, the cost of a cure doesn't become a brick wall stopping you from receiving it.
But here is where things get really interesting. The government is actively considering a complete policy shift that would dismantle these financial shields for cancer drugs entirely. This isn't just a minor administrative tweak, It's a fundamental rewiring of how these critical medications are priced, bought, and sold in the marketplace.
Moving on to Section 2, a 50% spike. Let's break down the mathematical reality.
When we compare current baselines against the projected costs if these protections are actually removed, the data points to a genuinely jarring reality. Critical medications could become up to 50% more expensive. Practically speaking, this represents a financial burden that could fundamentally alter a patient's ability to even afford their prescribed treatment regimen. It's a huge, huge jump.
Which brings us to Section 3, why lift the caps? Let's examine the rationale here. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would anyone initiate such a drastic price increase? Well, the argument from the other side is that while caps definitely protect wallets, they can also severely restrict market dynamics. Think about it. When prices are capped too tightly, manufacturers might just halt production entirely, which leads to immediate drug shortages. Plus, because developing cancer treatments cost billions of dollars, artificial price ceilings can actually disincentivize the research and development of future cures. So, lifting the caps is theorized to keep the supply chain robust and ensure long-term viability. Essentially, the core argument here is that a drug you can't afford is bad, but a drug that simply doesn't exist because of market restrictions, well, that's worse.
Now for Section 4, the patient affordability crisis. We really have to look at the human cost.
Look, every economic policy is a massive trade-off, right? And this situation creates a direct collision of needs. On one hand, you have the pharmaceutical industry's drive for innovation, resolving shortages, and maintaining a viable supply chain. But on the other hand, that's fiercely competing against the crippling financial burden placed on patients desperately needing affordable care. It's literally a direct collision between the macroeconomics of healthcare and the microeconomics of an everyday household budget.
Finally, Section 5, balancing cost and care. This brings us to the ultimate dilemma.
It all boils down to this incredibly tough question. If a life-saving drug exists, but patients simply cannot afford it, who really wins? Finding the balance between the true cost of medical innovation and the harsh reality of patient accessibility is an ethical and economic puzzle that we all must confront. It's a debate that is absolutely going to shape the future of medicine and how we value human life within a market economy. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep analyzing the data, keep looking at the structures behind the headlines, and I'll catch you next time.